Yes.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. A2D Radio live coming up next.
Let's go! This ain't the Fox Night! Austin Stinker, he stinks!
Oh, shit!
He's caught!
What's going on, everybody? Another episode of Sports Hounds kicking off right now, exclusively on A2DRadio.com. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, and Instagram. Obviously, miss anything here on the Sports Hounds, anything here on A2D Radio. Stream us wherever you get your podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. As always, there you see the sponsor right there, ARIA Public Adjusting, 813-564-3364. Don't fight your homeowner's insurance alone. Sign up with RA Public Adjusting. Tell them A2D Radio sent you. Tell them the Sports Hound sent you. They'll take care of you. We're also brought to you by All Campus down on the boardwalk between 10th and 11th Street, right there in Ocean City. It's All Campus. Get all your hat needs when you're down at the beach. Obviously, summer vacations in full swing right now as we're post July 4th already. The summer is just flying by. You can get 20% off in said All Campus, becoming an A2D member. It's $9.99 a month. Become a member. We have tons of giveaways, gambling picks from the Money Pop podcast and Willie Vegas. So make sure you sign up for that. And we are also brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. Our doc, Dr. Paul Vidal, 2 convenient locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill. You know, he's our doc, make him yours too. So keep him in mind. You get hurt at work. I just sprained my ankle at work. I had to be down, but, you know, there's no reason to rehab alone. You go Specialized Physical Therapy. He'll help you out. We got Brad Ryer. We got Evan Taylor. Jimmy will be back next week. Little hybrid show we got going on for really from here out. Flight Zone and Sports Hounds joining forces. Bring you all the greatest sports talk here on Monday. And don't forget about Tommy Arnone, Ryan Brodo, joining up with Running Back Philly. They'll come on after us. So we got a big basketball show. We got a big baseball show. And tail end, we might get to some hockey. Flyers making some interesting moves. We just had the NHL draft. Free agency pending. Obviously, a lot going on in the NBA with the prima donnas there, with Irving and Durant and Morey making his moves. But we're going to lead off with baseball. Phillies in action tonight. They're up 1-0 there in the top of the second of an absolute moonshot by Rhys Hoskins. Phillies up 1-0. That was his 18th this season. Just Rhys Hoskins having a terrific season. Phillies answering the bell without Harper. Phillies answering the bell under Rob Thompson. They're now 6 games over 500. They are in position to grab a playoff spot. Really important game tonight because I don't think the pitchers are going to matter in Toronto, as I believe Kyle Gibson pitched yesterday. Aaron Nola's pitching tonight, but they got to go up to Toronto, north of the border, and the Phillies have vaccination problems. Nola, Gibson, more importantly in the everyday lineup, Alec Boehm, not vaccinated. He will not be able to play. And JT Realmuto. Say what you want about him. He is the starting catcher for this baseball team, and that's going to be a big loss over the next 2 games against a really good baseball team in Toronto. So really important to get 3 out of 4 in St. Louis, one of your key competitors for the wild card. Then you got 2.
It's not going to be easy, that's for sure.
No, they mash, and they have good pitching, and they're a really good baseball team. And then next weekend, they're going to be in Florida, and the Marlins have been in existence since 1997. I think the Phillies are about 0-167 against the Marlins since their inception into the Major League Baseball. So it's never easy, and they're charging. Baseball's fun right now. We got these extra playoff spots. We got how about the Brad in the American League, the Orioles? They're winning games. The Marlins are winning games.
Can you believe the Orioles right now?
No, I mean, all these draft picks are starting to come up, and like they've always been able to hit.
Yeah, but their pitching is all of a sudden their pitching is really coming.
They're getting
through.
guys like Tyler Wells coming up, and it's a really interesting team. I think they're right there in that wild card mix. So
Well,
it seems like it's
I wouldn't quite go that far yet. They're not over 500. I think they're about
they're
3 or 4
one game under 500 after their 7-game win streak. They're 43 and 44. I have it right here.
Who would have seen that coming?
Amanda Stevenson's in the track. She has a question. Checking us out on Facebook. Amanda, just fire them away. We'll get to all the comments. We're gonna get to everything. Like I said, big baseball show, big basketball show, and in preparation for the happy hour tomorrow night, we might touch on some hockey if there's time. But let's get to our poll question, because it's evident to me that the Phillies are right there for a playoff spot. But in order to secure that and to be able to do damage in the postseason, this team obviously needs to add. And I've said a million times that I trust Dave Dombrowski and this new look front office. A lot of analytics guys coming in from Tampa, Oakland. It's just a new look front office, something the Phillies just haven't done. But the poll question tonight, the Philadelphia Phillies need a starting pitcher over a center fielder. I'll start it off. I'm going to say disagree. Yes, they need to add innings, absolutely, whether it's bullpen or a starter, because I don't think you can sustain success with guys like Christopher Sanchez starting every fifth day with guys like Eflin and Ranger Suarez, and there's Bohm leaving the game. That's not good at all. He's been on fire. He slid into second. Looks like he banged up his wrist. Hopefully he's okay. Well, let's see the replay here. Looks like he got jammed up on the base a little bit. Tag there, slow motion. I guess he kind of jammed his fingers there. It didn't look. Yeah, his fingers kind of got mashed up a little. Remember, that's in slow motion. So if it looked like they got mashed up on slow motion, then that's no good. But guys, a center fielder plays every day, right? And preferably, this baseball team needs a center fielder that can also hit leadoff. I've thrown out the name Ramon Lorano ad nauseum. I think that's a great fit. Oakland's always dumping guys. I think that's a great fit. And Oakland also has some guys in the bullpen and the starting rotation that can help you too. But, did you guys see the game the other night where Odubel just completely misplayed a fly ball? Any normal center fielder makes that. Like, that stuff can happen when you're in this tight of a race for a potential wild card spot. And maybe, just maybe, if they keep playing well, they can maybe sneak in there, win a division. I don't know. I'm not optimistic on that. I think the Braves are really good. The Mets are really good, obviously. They're actually playing right now. It's a big series in terms of the NL East. But I'm team center field. This team does need to make multiple moves. But center field, they play every day. You get a leadoff guy that can play center field. You kick Schwarber down. And then obviously there's a big hole in the middle of that lineup with Bryce out. Hopefully they can get Bryce back at some point. Hopefully they get Gene Segura back at some point. And that's only going to help your offense. Those are both professional hitters. So I am team center field. You have to get a center fielder in here. Number one, he's got to be able to catch the baseball. Number two, I would like him to hit leadoff, but I guess if he doesn't hit leadoff, that's fine because Schwarber has, 28 home runs in the leadoff spot for the most part. But, you need a center fielder here. You need a center fielder. You haven't had one since Shane Victorino. And defense up the middle is paramount. And obviously, Bohm just left. Hopefully he's all right. But I'm 1,000% team center field. Evan, what do you see when you look at this baseball team right now?
You definitely made valid points when it came to getting a center fielder rather than a pitcher right now. The thing is, the Phillies' collapse usually doesn't happen until after the All-Star break. You'll go on a little bit. They've went on little runs here and there where they've been up like 10 games over 500, and then their bullpen just blows out of nowhere. I think their bullpen has just a new show of life about them. They've been very high ranked when it came the last month, I think, of baseball.
They're pitching well.
Yeah, and then at the same time when they're pitching well, your center fielders look like Abdul Herrera, and they can't even make a routine pop out. So unless he's hitting, Like I do really want to say pitcher just because of the fact that we do have Sanchez still pitching somehow, but that's only because there's some guys that are hurt, and that's the thing too. If some of these dudes like Eflin can't stay healthy, got hurt last season, he was done last season. And a few of these other guys with vaccination status issues and all that, it's going to be hard because you've survived this long without really having a center fielder. And look what it's done to you, kind of. You still haven't made the playoffs since Shane Victorino. Yeah, I would take a center fielder over a pitcher. Like, it would really depend on who we would have to trade. No.
I mean, they got two guys in the futures game. Logan O'Happ, who's the catcher, which, I mean, I would easily trade him for whatever. I'm a win now guy. And you have Real Muto. I mean, love him or hate him. He's under contract. He's making $20 million a year for the next couple of years. So Logan O'Happ is he's blocked.
Uh-huh.
So there's a trade piece right there. They had another guy. That's his name, Morales. And that's the problem. Like, see, the problem with trading for bullpen is the Dodgers are going to want bullpen. The Yankees are going to want bullpen. The Red Sox are going to want bullpen. Tampa, Houston, the whole league. And unfortunately for the Phillies, the whole league has just more ammunition in their farm system to get something done for a relief pitcher, which I think that you look at the landscape of it, there's just going to be a lot of competition out there. Now, Brad, I know you're a big Andrew Benintendi guy, having a great season for the Royals in a contract year.
He is. I know the Yankees are targeting him. He is their number one target right now. They want to put him in left field and not have to deal with Joey Gallo anymore. And then they can put, they can leave Judge. They can leave Judge in center, and Stanton in right. Hicks come off the bench. And you've got a multitude of guys who you can use as DH, because now that Judge has become such an outstanding center fielder, and who would have thought that at the beginning of the season that you'd see that? And Stanton is a pretty good right fielder. He is pretty good. He's not Judge in right field. Nobody is, really. Judge is just a tremendous outfielder. But Stanton can definitely play the outfield. He's not a butcher out there. So, you've got that. There's no way, Mr. Randy, who the Yankees are trading Matt Carpenter, by the way. Right now, they've got an interesting little dilemma between there's four guys right now for two spots. Right now, between shortstop, third base, and second base. Actually, there's five guys for three spots. You've got LeMahieu and Torres. You've got IKF also thrown in the mix, as well as Marwin Gonzalez, and then you've got Donaldson and Carpenter. So it's interesting now to see what's going to happen, because all these guys really are qualified players over there, and I think they may end up trading some, real pro players to get some pro players. You could actually have a baseball trade going on with the Yankees, not just minor leaguers, like a baseball trade. You could see them trading with another contender in the National League because of this, which could make sense.
Now, when you watch the Phillies from afar, Brad, obviously you're a New York guy, a Yankee guy, but when you watch the Phillies from afar, do you think that their deficiencies they have deficiencies in both spots, but do you think
I think they need a number 3 pitcher above everything else. I don't care how bad your center fielder is right now. You cannot go into the playoffs in a 3-game series on the road. And look, you got two good starting pitchers in Wheeler and what's his name, Nola. Your first two, but you don't have a legit number 3. You can tell me till you're blue in the face about the guy they got from Texas last year.
Yeah, Kyle Gibson.
Kyle Gibson stinks. Okay, he was with the Rangers, and he used to get bombed on a regular basis. He's not good. He's going through the National League. The National League has not really seen that much of him. He's going to get bombed in the second half of the season because he is not a good pitcher. Zach Eflin is just not a good pitcher. And Ranger Suarez, I don't know what to make of him.
He's a lefty.
Yeah,
he's very hot and cold. Like, you have times where he comes out and he pitches gems, and you're like, oh, okay, like he's fixed. He's going to take off. And then other times he's got 87 pitches through 4 and 1/3 inning, and I think taxes your bullpen for the whole rest of the week.
Right now, I think he is better. He is better suited to be a middle innings guy. Okay, I think you need a solid number 3. And I'm not just looking at it from the regular season. I'm looking at it, if you do make the playoffs, the idea is to win in the playoffs. Okay, you win with 3 good pitchers. You can find a way to get a center fielder who can catch the ball. Okay, outfielders are a dime a dozen. Now, to get a really good one, like Laureano or Benintendi, that might not be as easy to do. But to just find a center fielder who you can plug in, that can play defense and hit 250 and show a little bit of power, that shouldn't be all that hard.
Yeah.
That's really what you're looking at right now.
Yeah, you look at it like do you think like a Paul Blackburn from Oakland, if you bring him in as kind of like a Joe Blanton type move? Remember they traded for Joe Blanton in 2008, and everyone was like, oh, okay, like cool, decent pitcher, maybe a number 3, probably a number 4. Ended up probably
go for it. I think if you're going to go for it and try to actually win a championship, which is what kind of it's all about, you try to go get a Frankie Montas, and now you're talking, possibly getting to the, getting to the LCS, and maybe getting to the World Series. That's the guy you need to get, Rob. And I'm not trying to underplay the garbage in center field. Okay, I'm just giving you the facts. Okay, the 3 guys that you have behind Nola and Wheeler aren't good enough. You want to win, and you really want to win. This is the guy you need to get. Or maybe you could talk to Cincinnati, and see if somehow they're willing to get rid of what the hell's the guy's name is?
Luis Castillo.
Yes, Luis Castillo. Maybe they'll get rid of him. I mean, that's another guy that would really make you tough. But I think if you guys got Montas to be your number 3 pitcher, okay, then you have something. Then you have 3 legitimate pitchers to pitch in the playoffs, okay? And I'm just putting it out there. Let's say you have to play the Milwaukee Brewers in the first round. I know the Milwaukee Brewers, they don't have a great hitting, but they're going to pick up somebody. They're going to pick up somebody at the trade deadline to hit. You know that. Something's going to happen. And those 3 pitchers at the top of their rotation, they're all shut down pitchers. You can't be in a situation where you have 2 real good pitchers and you end up getting a split, and then you're stuck with a horrible pitcher pitching third, and then you lose a series. Go for the jugular. It's not so easy to win those first, especially when you're on the road. It's hard to win 2 games in a row on the road.
Yeah, and for those not familiar with the new playoff system, with the new collective bargaining agreement, if you don't win your division and you're a wild card team, you're playing a 3-game set all on the road.
Exactly.
You're looking at having to go into, probably most likely, because I think the Padres / Dodgers, Atlanta, New York, and then the Phillies, or I guess the Cardinals, are going to be that last team in, and then you're going to have to play the Central 3 games on the road. So it's actually kind of advantageous that, being the 6th seed, being the last team in, because the Central, I mean, we're making work of the Cardinals here. They won 2 of 3 already, going for 3 of 4 tonight with your ace on the hill, semi-ace, co-ace, and Aaron Nola on the hill tonight. So, you got to get this one. I'll put you 7 games under 500. I don't know how Toronto's going to go, because Toronto's good and you got vaccination problems. So, you really have to get this one. And then,
well, here's the problem, Rob. You're going to Toronto, and you're going to be having the garbage pitchers out there. Okay, you're 3 and 4 on the road against a devastating offense. Okay, that does not bode well. That's the problem. Now, if you had one really good if you had a number 3 pitcher, a playoff type pitcher, a guy who is going to give you a solid performance, then you may have something. But I mean, Toronto has seen Gibson before anyway. You're lucky he's not pitching against them. Go look at how he did against them when he was pitching for Texas. They've all seen him before. No surprises there. So this is what I'm saying though. I think if you guys seriously want to get in there, and I'm looking at, I know Odubel Herrera frustrates you. Okay, I get that. Okay, just like Joey Gallo frustrates me.
He's garbage.
And
Joey Gallo is Babe Ruth compared to Joey Gallo.
Okay, well, or
compared to Herrera.
Okay, well, let's say Aaron Hicks, because Aaron Hicks is similar. Okay, Aaron Hicks is hitting about 240 now. He's finally starting to hit, but he's still an annoying player. You can deal with somebody like that. Okay, what you can't deal with is not being able to have a guy who can close out a series. And that number 3 pitcher is crucial, even in an LCS, okay, or an LDS. If you have 3 pitchers, okay, nobody in the National League really has a great number 4, other than maybe the Dodgers. Okay, so you have to look at it that you've got to be able to match pitching staffs. You can't have 2 weak spots in a series that's going to go 7 games. You just can't. It can't happen in a 5-game series. It's still a 5-game series for the LDS, or is that 7 now?
Good question.
I think that's 5.
I think it's 7.
Oh, it's 7?
I think it's 7 now.
Did they change
You're
it
going
to
to go 3-7-7.
Yeah. Okay. So, but that's my point, Rob. If it's a 7-game series, it's tough because when you're playing a 7-game series, you have a really good 1 and 2, but your 3 and 4 you don't know what you got, and if you have a 3, then nobody really has a 4 that's going to scare the hell out of you. Okay, your team can hit, especially when they got all their guys. You're going to have Bryce in September and October, so I mean that's something that you have to look at. Take a good look at it and try to figure out what it is you want. But I think first and foremost, I would get that starting pitcher, because if you have Frankie Montas, he's going to give you innings. Okay, he's going to give you probably 6 to 7 innings every time he goes out there, which means your bullpen's going to get some rest. You only have to use 1, maybe 2 relievers when he pitches. Okay, and that's very important, especially later in the season when the bullpens start getting tired. And some of these guys who are throwing too many innings start getting rocked.
Now, Evan, you touched on it. Over the last month, Phillies have one of the best bullpens in the league, statistically speaking. Is that something that you think can be sustainable, or is this kind of fool's gold?
I really
don't see a lot of talent out there.
We've seen it before, Brad and Rob. Like we've seen this before with the Phillies. Throughout the last 4 seasons, we had probably the most blown saves in the NL East, at least.
Like statistically, the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah.
Which has been around for 200 years.
And did it really it didn't change that much. Like the roster, you got rid of Neris, you got rid of a few other guys, and you brought in more no names, basically. It is a concern. But I mean, if you had a center fielder that was like a general in the outfield, because you really don't have a good defensive outfield when you think of it. You have Schwarber. Schwarber's not a bad defensive, right fielder, but he's slow. He's slow.
He's got no range.
Yeah, he's slow. And then the Castellanos, he's not the best. He's not the best throw. And Schwarber can't throw that great. If you have a guy out there,
doesn't Schwarber play left for the most part?
Yeah, Schwarber's in left, Castellanos is in right, and then you got a black hole in center.
And they can't really not all 3 of them can throw. Can make that throw home.
Your box.
I got a guy for you. Who I'm sure Rob knows this guy. Adolis Garcia on Texas.
Is Texas going to sell? I guess, right? I mean, they're
Well,
not that great.
No, that's what I'm saying. They could probably get a pretty. You probably get a pretty. They could get a pretty good package for him.
Mhm.
I think if you made the right offer, I think that they would. I think they would give him up for the right package.
Mhm.
You know, and
Texas is 39-44, a whopping 16 games back of the Houston Astros, who are 56-29.
Now, do you really think that they have enough pitching to get to be in the playoffs? Do you think they're going to catch Tampa, Toronto, or Boston? I say no way on God's green earth that they're going to be better than one of those three teams.
Yeah, no.
You know,
No,
or possibly the Cleveland Guardians, who are playing outrageously good baseball. And by the way, they're spanking the White Sox silly tonight. It's already 5-0. So
I mean, the White Sox are a disaster. I mean, talk about underachieving.
It's hard to believe that Tony La Russa is still managing that team. I mean, you gotta wonder what the hell is going on in Chicago that they're not doing something about.
I mean, they got reamed out. I don't know if it was today or within the last couple of days. Like, they got reamed out by their GM, and everybody got roasted because they're 41-33. They have a run differential of -37. You know, they have a worse record than the Minnesota Twins. They have a worse record than the Cleveland Guardians, which, all due respect to Cleveland and Minnesota, like, I mean, the White Sox
are a lot less than the White Sox.
And then you have Seattle in the American League. That's you know, they've won
Seattle
8
in
straight.
the West. Seattle in the West has started to come along, and as you mentioned, Baltimore is playing some real good baseball. But how about the American League East right now? I mean, who was it that said that the National League West was better than the American League East? some
I
idiot.
saw that.
What?
It was on. It was on
I
ATV.
didn't say that.
Yeah. It was on. Some Philly guy said it.
Yeah, somebody
that's
said,
completely false. I mean, it's probably you're probably going to get 4 of the 5 teams.
Yeah, and you know what? Bottom line
in
is,
the playoffs,
you may have 5 teams at 500 or better in the American League East, and that's great. That is absolutely insane. Think about it, how good those teams are now. You know, and if Baltimore was in another division, they probably would be very much in the wild card hunt because they'd have a lot more wins. They wouldn't have to be playing the Red Sox and Tampa Bay and they've given the Yankees a little trouble too. They're 4-8 against the Yankees, but still, you know, how good are the other teams against the Yankees this year?
like if you told me that on July 11th that the Baltimore Orioles would have a better record than the Chicago White Sox, I would have said, you're stone silly.
Rob, you would have, if I told you that, you would have told me to get off the radio. Give it up. Go watch something else. You know, put down the crack pipe. There's no way any of us could have thought that one.
And they're getting pitching too, the Orioles, which is astounding. Like I look at like run differential. That's like a big stat for me. When you look at a hot team, you got to look at their run differential to figure out if it's sustainable or not. And Baltimore has rallied back. They have a -14 run differential for the season, and that's pretty respectable considering their expectations, their payroll, and the competition they had to play. What is it, 18, 19 times a year? Boston, Tampa, New York, and Toronto. So,
that is tough.
unless they're playing the East, like they're playing well.
Yeah.
They played reasonably well against the East as well.
And you look at the National League wild card, Dodgers, Mets, and Brewers are in control of their divisions. Atlanta is in firm control of a wild card spot. I mean, they're 5.5 clear of the third team, which is right now the Phillies. They're a game up on the Cardinals.
Atlanta is about ready to catch the Mets. They're not too far away anymore.
But Atlanta, I mean, they got a +72 run differential. So and they have pitching, they have hitting. Acuna looks as healthy as can be. So I mean, they're going to be a problem. I think.
Yeah, I
know the Yankees.
The Mets are only 2 games ahead of them in the loss column at this point.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they're 1.5. The Braves are 1.5 behind the Mets, Two in the loss column. Now,
And
I'm a loss column guy, so I always say if you're 2 games out in the loss column, you're really 2 games out because you can't control the loss column.
Mhm.
but like you look at the Phillies with a plus 59. So the East, I think they're going to get 3 teams: Phillies, Braves, and Mets. I think the Phillies need to have some work to do from a roster assembly standpoint to guarantee that they get there.
Mhm.
But I mean, I just think the Phillies are better than the Cardinals, at least right now.
Yeah.
Let's get to some comments.
They've certainly handled them very, very well, particularly pitching wise.
Yeah, and I mean, Rob Thompson. I know we had like some discussions on the platform this week that I think was agree disagree on Sunday night. Rob Thompson should be named, like, just get rid of the interim tag and make him the manager. Like, I'm all for that.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not easy to just come in cold and turn a team around without really making any. It's the same guys.
Mhm.
It's the same guys here. And Girardi, I don't know what happened. He lost the locker room. I think Girardi lost Bryce,
Mhm.
and then it just trickled down from there.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's and like you said, he's got really not much to work with in that bullpen. He's mixing and matching extremely well. So I'm all for Team Rob Thompson.
Yep.
Like, why not make him who are you gonna get? Who are you gonna get?
Mhm.
Well,
All right,
they're saying interim for now because they haven't decided about next year.
I think that would be like a further boot. Like maybe over the All-Star break, you announce like, all right, like we're just gonna make him the manager. We're gonna remove the interim tag. We're give him a deal to be the manager, and maybe that can give the team another added boost.
It seems like they're having fun playing again, and it seems like they really enjoy playing for Rob Thompson. I think the problem with Girardi is that Girardi is a hard ass, and he holds everybody accountable, and he's not really nice to the players. He's not a players manager, and nothing personal about your team, but I think you got a bunch of big babies on your team that just can't handle being kicked in the ass, and now they're responding to the fact that. They've got a warmer, gentler manager on their hands.
Yeah, welcome to pro sports in 2022.
Well, look at in 1978. Okay, the Yankees fired Billy Martin because he was driving everybody on the team nuts. And then they brought in Bob Lemon, who was a mellow, kind of a mellow guy, and didn't drive anybody nuts. Was kind and nice to everybody, and then they won the World Series. So sometimes that stuff does work. Sometimes just sometimes a strong hand works on certain teams. Okay, I think it works better on a young team than a veteran team, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to be a hard ass when you got so many guys on your payroll that are making so much more money than the manager.
Mhm.
And veterans to boot, like you said. All right, let's get to some comments. Tom Arnone's in the house. Rob Povey is in the house. Brad will be kicking it around. I guess tomorrow on the Hockey Happy Hour, getting into some hockey off-season stuff. We just had the draft. Flyers, questionable move, bringing in Tony DeAngelo. We'll talk about that a little later.
Don't think it's questionable. I think that's a good move.
No, he's got a checkered past, is my point.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. John Burke wants to know about anything the Yankees need to become a World Series team. I would like to see, and again, I talked about the Phillies getting Frankie Montas. I wouldn't mind the Yankees adding him either. I really want to see them get Benintendi so we don't have to see Gallo anymore. We need a 300 hitter who's a legitimate leadoff hitter. I don't want to see Aaron Judge leading off. Period. So if that answers your question, I hope that does answer your question.
Remember when I talked about Tony years ago on your radio show? Tony, I don't know who Tony is. Rob Povia, he agrees to the poll. So I forget how I worded it, but I guess he wants center field over starting pitcher. I think that's how I worded it. Amanda Stevenson, checking us out on Facebook. She has questions. Do you think Bryce Harper will be in the lineup with Kyle? And also, do you think of the news with 4 players who are not going to Toronto? And also, when do you think Bryce will be back and Gene Segura? All right,
Bryce probably September, beginning of September.
Yeah, I'm targeting September 1st. I think they're going to come back within a week of each other, if not on the same day. Late August,
probably.
early September.
Yeah.
So you got, and there's a double play. And as far as the vaccination status goes, it hurts. But I don't think the starting pitching is going to hurt you because I don't think either of them are scheduled to start with Gibby and Nola. Obviously, Nola's pitching at night, so he won't pitch till the weekend in Miami. Gibson, he shouldn't be starting. Did Gibson pitch yesterday, Evan?
I believe so.
No, Wheeler pitched Saturday, right?
I thought it was Gibson yesterday.
Wheeler pitched Saturday, yes.
So I think
because
it was
Wainwright had the complete game loss.
Yeah.
On Saturday. And then that's a great catch right there by whoever that was in left field, robbing Derek Hall of
wow.
But welcome to St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Doing all the little things right, catching the ball, running the bases.
They're a tremendous defensive team.
Who's that? There's Mile Mikolos. He likes it. Keeps the game 1-0, middle of the fourth. So this game's flying by a little bit here. So Noel's got to keep trucking.
Yesterday, actually, no, it wasn't. It was Nick Nelson, Familia, Sanchez, Bilotti, and Dominguez.
They did a bullpen game.
Yeah.
So I guess you just hold Gibson and Nola off to the weekend. I don't know what they're going to do in Toronto. Because it seems like Kyle Gibson would have one of those games.
Gibson, he played Saturday. Gibson played Saturday. I'm looking at it right now.
So he wouldn't be.
So who is it? So we're gonna have bullpen games. I think
we'll have Wheeler. We might have Wheeler. I thought
Wheeler might pitch on, I guess, Wednesday.
He played Friday, so
he'll pitch Wednesday then.
So he'll go Wednesday. So that's the game you get, and then you you're tossing one away with the bullpen. And then in terms of position players that aren't vaccinated, Amanda, Alec Boehm just left this baseball game, jammed up his fingers, his hand on second base sliding in. So, he's not vaccinated. He's not going to be there anyway, but,
Well, fortunately, next week is the All-Star game week. So, if anything, if he's got an issue, he'll have 2 weeks really to heal.
We just can't have another broken bone here in Philadelphia.
No more catastrophic.
No more broken bones with security. Because Boehm, I get Schwarber is the basher, hits all the home runs, and Hoskins bashes. But Boehm's he's been a complete hitter, and he's been on fire the last 2 weeks.
The last, I think, really this series as well. He did come in clutch with those 2 home runs, and then
he went 2-0. It's 2 solo shots by Boehm.
By the way, the Mets are ahead of Atlanta, 2-0 at this point.
Yeah, that's free. That's Fried versus Scherzer there, and is that in Queens, Brad?
No, that's in Atlanta.
It's in Atlanta. Okay.
Yeah, Mets have first
and I think I covered all of Amanda's. So, we'll see. And then obviously you're not going to have your starting catcher for 2 games. So maybe you can get a nice little break and be fresh against his former team, the Marlins, who you desperately need to beat because you need to.
Absolutely.
Jake Friel, what's up, fellas? He's going to disagree with the poll. He wants a legit center fielder. Bob Brinkman, Odubel, he stinks. Right? I'm over Odubel Herrera. He should be designated for assignment. He's just not consistent enough to be an everyday contributor. I'd much rather see Veerling out there. And Moniak is just overmatched at the plate.
Yeah.
He would have caught that ball on, what was it, against the Nationals last week. I think Moniak catches that ball, but he's just so overmatched at the plate that you can't trust him. And Veerling's he's become a great little utility guy too. Johan Camargo was kind of that in the beginning of the season. I don't know where he went to. I assume he's still hurt. So you get him back, he can be another guy, off your bench, utility guy. But he really only plays the infield. I guess you could stick him in left. maybe right if you're stuck, but that's what Veerling's for. And we got Mr. Randy Poo. Yeah, the Yankees can have Moniak. Yeah, Moniak. First overall pick in the draft in 2015.
Why would the Yankees want Moniak?
I think he's kidding.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's trolling.
Brian Daly. I think Brian Daly. He's on the fence with the poll. He wants to stay in center field over pitching. Pitching has been pretty steady.
Mhm.
Yeah, we just saw especially the bullpen. Like, is the bullpen as bad as it was in the first 2 months? No, I don't think so. They were absolutely horrendous, but I also don't think they're as good as they're playing right now. They don't give up hits, they don't give up runs, and they're locking everything down. I don't think that group is talented enough to sustain that over the next, what do we got left? 80 games?
80, yep.
Something like that.
Yep.
John Burke. Oh, Tony. He was talking about hockey. I guess he needs Tony D'Angelo.
Oh, Tony D'Angelo. Okay.
John
They're
Burke.
trying to sign. Okay. All right.
Can we talk hockey for a second? The Flyers are a joke of an organization. They're trying to sign all these hometown players that are average when they really need to sell the team and tank this year to get Bedard. Obviously, Brad, you've talked about, I'm sure you've talked to the hockey guys as well about the next year's draft.
Yeah, but the next year's draft is loaded. So I understand where he's coming from, but I don't think that the owners, and I don't think that the owner or the general manager want to tank. You're saying we're trying to sign all these hometown players that are average. They're not trying to sign average players. I wouldn't call Johnny Gaudreau an average player. Johnny Gaudreau is a tremendous player. He's certainly one of the top 10 players in the league. This year, he had what you could call a career year. The only problem I have with Johnny Gaudreau is I just don't know how good a player he would be in John Tortorella's system. That's the only problem. John Tortorella likes to have a defensive team that basically suffocates you, forces you into turnovers, tries to catch you in the in coming back with the stretch pass. He's Alain Vigneault, but with all defense in mind, and he likes to try to catch you by surprise with the stretch pass.
But the Flyers' power play last year was horrendous. They just couldn't score goals. You need guys to score goals because everyone's chasing Colorado right now.
Well,
everyone's chasing Tampa in the East still. All those guys skate and score goals. So the defensive system, that's all well and good, but you got to skate and score goals in today's NHL.
If you ask me, and I don't want to ruin it for the hockey happy hour tomorrow, so I don't want to get too much into it. But Johnny Gaudreau would be a major help to the Philadelphia Flyers.
Is he unrestricted, Brad?
Yeah, he's unrestricted.
So he can go anywhere. And the Flames aren't re-signing him?
I think the Flames are going to re-sign him. Tkachuk is not an unrestricted free agent. Okay, I believe he's either RFA or he's got like 1 year to go or something like that. And I think the Flames are trying to figure out, is it okay to spend a lot of $16 million on two players? That's what they're trying to decide. And that's why it's taken them so long to get there. But I do think in the end, Johnny Gaudreau stays with the Flames. I'd be really surprised if he left. I know he's from South Jersey. I get that, and sometimes that works. We'll see with Tony Granato, Tony D'Angelo, how that works. Tony D'Angelo is going to improve your power play. Tony D'Angelo is a tremendous point player. The only problem with Tony D'Angelo, as we all know, is that he loses his control. He loses control of his composure and is subject to taking stupid penalties at the most ungodly times.
But you traded 3 picks for Tony D'Angelo.
Yeah, Tony D'Angelo, one thing he does not do well is play defense.
Isn't that a complete contradiction to what you just said about
Tortorella?
What Tortorella wants to do with this hockey team?
Now I think since they talked, they must have talked to Tortorella, and I think Tortorella probably is hoping against hope that Tony D'Angelo defensively is basically a 5th or 6th defenseman on a good team. Okay, he's not he's not good at all defensively. If you need to have a guy who is a rock solid defensive player to play on the left side with him. However, he is tremendous on the power play. He can kill penalties because of the fact that he's such a good puck mover. Okay, that he believe it or not, he's not a bad penalty killer, but 5-on-5, he's not good defensively at all. I mean, he's the kind of guy you want to throw the puck in and make him go chase down the puck and then hit him, and he'll give it up. That's kind of what everybody's done to him the last few years. But again, when he gets in the offensive zone, he is a tremendous offensive player. He'll give you 50 points next year. I guarantee you'll get 50 points.
Now, Evan, like, this guy is a lightning rod.
Mm-hmm.
You bring him in, he's got the racial slurs, he's got the homophobic tweets, he's a hothead. All reports indicate that he absolutely ripped apart the locker room in New York, which was a good hockey team. You know, they almost went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. But, you know, then he goes to Carolina, and he does well for them under a strong coach in Rod Brindamore.
And they still trade him. And he was only
still traded him.
And he was only asking for $3.5 million.
So, like, are you okay with bringing that type of guy into what looks to be a rebuilding team?
Yeah.
Well, Tony D is still young. He's only, 25, 26?
He's 26 years old.
Yeah, I mean, that's still pretty young, especially for a defenseman. You know, he's not like an old wing who's been beat up going into the corners for a million years. You know, he's still young. He could, if he grows up a little bit, which maybe he will with Tortorella, because Tortorella could put the fear of God into him, because that's kind of how Tortorella is. See, that could work one way or the other with Tortorella.
Like, where do you stand on that, Evan? Like, he's got a checkered past. He's not. Doesn't seem like he's a good locker room guy. Like, is this smart for a rebuilding team?
He doesn't get in trouble off the field. I mean, it's not off the ice. He doesn't get arrested or break any laws. He's just kind of put this?
Yeah, he's a racist, homophobic.
He's a dickhead. That's. I mean, I know. I'm reverting to being a 12-year-old right now, but he's kind of a dickhead. I mean, what other word can adequately describe Tony DeAngelo? I mean, that's what he is. He's a tremendous player, though.
Yeah, it definitely is tough seeing like them pretty much give a pretty big haul to this guy. I mean, it wasn't huge, but you have a lot of young players, and if a player comes like that and just becomes toxic, like players can really I want to say ruin their careers by having that happen, but it just makes them like going to work less and less, even though they're playing the sport they love. If you just had some guy coming in and with a bad pass like that and saying all this shit, and if you're a younger guy, like you would just feel some way about that. And I
would compare him in baseball. He's like baseball's edition of Gary Sheffield. You know, I mean Gary Sheffield obviously is a better baseball player than DeAngelo was a hockey player ever. But I mean, you know, Gary was kind of mean. He wasn't really the most social guy. He was kind of a grouchy guy. You know what I mean? You know, he was kind of tough to deal with in the locker room. But you know, the Yankees still won. Maybe that's how it works in Philly.
Yeah. And I mean, the Phillies really have the Flyers rather, they have really no, I don't know how to explain it.
They got
really
no juice.
They don't have anything to them. They don't have passion. I feel like they don't really have.
They have a guy who's got the capability to have a lot of passion in Kevin Hayes. Somebody has to stick a thumbtack on his rear end.
Stick a stick up his ass.
I didn't say it. I used to think that when he was with the Rangers, especially. But he needs to kind of. I know he's gone through a lot. I understand that. You know, he went through the injury. He went with his brother. My God, nobody deserves to have that happen to them. But here's a guy who's very talented. He's also making a lot of money. Who really somebody has to really get him to start flying around. Because if he starts flying around the ice, I'm telling you, that guy could be a first line player.
I mean, his brother died, so
I know.
like, you can kind of excuse, and plus he was hurt. So
I
like,
know.
I mean,
I know, but he's had 2 bad years in a row, though. He wasn't all that good the year before either.
I mean, I like that. I mean, I like his skill set. I mean, he can kill penalties. He's
Play
probably your first. He's probably on your first line, right?
Yeah, but he's on your first line because you don't really have a first line.
Yeah, because they stink.
Right. He's more of a second line player than a first line player. You could get. I was mentioning this on the Hockey Happy Hour last week, Rob. If you could get this 6'4" body to stand in front of the damn net with his wrist shot, you could see the second coming of Phil Esposito. I mean, he's got a lot of talent. He's strong. He can skate, and you know what? If he plants his butt in front of that net, who the heck is going to move him? You know, and if he drops the gloves, he's going to beat the crap out of you because he's one tough guy. He doesn't seem to. Somehow somebody's got to get him mad.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's kind of, and maybe Tortorella is the guy that can do it. He just might do.
You know, unless something unforeseen happens, like the Flyers are going to stink next year, right? You're not going to be a good hockey unless you bring in Johnny Hockey.
You bring in Johnny Hockey, or you know, there's other guys. There was a lot of DeBrincat rumors. DeBrincat's already been traded.
He went to the Senators, I think, right?
Yes, he did. But for the 7th pick and the 39th pick, which
it's a pretty big haul. Chicago seems to just be.
Oh, Chicago's trying to lose.
They're trying to get a good pick for the 23 draft.
They're probably going to trade Patrick Kane, and I know my Rangers are definitely first in line to try to get him because he would be the answer on the second line.
But that would be good. Like, that doesn't make any sense for the Flyers, in my opinion. That makes a lot of sense for the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Patrick Kane? No. Patrick Kane's too old. He's too old. You
don't think that's a good mix with, like, because the Rangers are now.
Oh, like, no. For the Rangers,
they have guys in their prime, and then you bring a veteran like Kane. Like, that seems like a really good fit.
No. The Rangers should be trying to get Kane. You put him on the second line with Panarin, and then you have Mika Zibanejad and Kreider on the first line, and then you could throw Lafreniere on the second line, and you could put Kakko on the first line. I mean, that's the only problem is one of those guys is going to go if you're going to get Patrick Kane because the Rangers aren't getting him for nothing. That's for sure. And the Blackhawks are going to also have to eat half his contract too for them to fit it under their cap. But Rangers are also looking at a lot of other possibilities at center. Shifley, Pierre-Luc Dubois. You know, they're at a lot. They're looking at a lot. Dylan Strome, Brian Strome's brother. How about if they signed Brian Strome's brother, and they got rid of Ryan Strome? Ooh.
And then, you know, the only thing I fear with bringing in a guy like Tony DeAngelo, like, is if they go on an 8-game losing streak, which I think there's going to be quite a few of them next year for the Flyers. They're just not a very good hockey team. Like, is Tony DeAngelo going to blow up and become a dickhead, like you said, Brad? Or
I think the Flyers are going to get better as the year goes on.
So you believe in Torts?
Yes, I do. I like Tortorella. I loved him when he was with the Rangers. I love the way he had them play. They were playing tough hockey. Even Marian Gaborik was blocking shots when he was coaching that team. I mean, he's the kind of guy. Listen, he does have an expiration date. We all know that, but he's the kind of guy that can motivate that team for the next couple of years. He's going to teach them all how to play good defense, and they'll be in a lot better shape when he leaves than when they are now. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Timothy Hickire, should we go after Alex? I guess he means Alex Ovechkin. I mean, he's a free agent.
He's not going anywhere.
He'll sell you tickets. That's about it. That's
yeah. I mean, he's still really good, but why on God's green earth would he sign with a rebuilding team like the Flyers?
He's not. He's going to stay in Washington. He's going to retire.
Probably, right?
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. What are you kidding me?
I mean, Washington made the playoffs last year. They're not a dreadful team, the Capitals.
You think he's going to leave? You think he's going to leave his buddy, the center that he's been playing with for the last 10 years? No way that's happened. Yeah, he's a free agent. He's going to get paid again. And that's going to be it. And he's going to try to break Gretzky's record as a Washington Capital. And they'll sell out every game. And you know what? You could still win with Alex Ovechkin on your team as your best player. I mean, the guy still scores 50 goals. What do you want out of life?
Yeah, so he's not going anywhere, and he's certainly not coming to the Flyers.
No.
Absolutely not. And kind of the last two things about, Tony DeAngelo and the Flyers, like, can Tony DeAngelo not be a dickhead, as you said, Brad, if the team is losing?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. See, he got into a fight with Alexander Georgiev because they had a miscommunication behind the net against the Pittsburgh Penguins 2 years ago, and then he got into a big fight with Georgiev. I mean, a bad one, full-fledged fist fight in the runway to the locker room, and then Kreider had to go in and beat him up to stop. And
I don't know. You trade a 2, a 3, and a 4, or was it a 5? You trade 3 picks.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what
for this guy. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, if you're like the Hurricanes brought him in, they took a chance. Hurricanes were a really good hockey team. Like, they had a chance to win the cup. They didn't.
And they also had a lot of veteran leadership.
Strong coach, gritty team. So, like, yeah, Tony DeAngelo can come in and kind of blend in. And if you're winning, like, I mean, if you're going to be toxic on a winning team, then good luck. At least Tony DeAngelo.
I don't think he was toxic. I don't think he was toxic on the Kings. I don't think that was the issue. Not the Kings. What am I saying? On the Canes, I don't think it's necessarily as toxic. But the fact that they let him go, just kind of tells you that, if he's not a priority to them, and he really did help their power play during the season. I mean, what does that tell you?
Timothy Hickthyer, we need a star goalie. So I guess Timmy's not in on Carter Hart. I don't know what to make of Carter Hart. Is Carter Hart good? I don't know. Does Carter Hart stink because the Flyers' defense stinks? Is Carter Hart going to be the star that we thought he was going to be? Because Schwartz is here with his defensive style.
Stop right there where you said. Stop right there where you said he was bad because his defense stunk. Okay, and leave it right there. Okay. He's not Shesterkin. Okay, we're in agreement with that. Okay, he's not Shesterkin, and he's not the best goalie in the league. But can he be a top 10 goalie? Abso-freaking-lutely. Okay, he definitely can be a top 10 goalie. He's better than Georgiev, and Georgiev is now in the Avalanche. He's better than Krumper, and Krumper won the Stanley Cup. But he suffers from shell shock because the Flyers don't cover anybody in their defensive zone. That's why I think Tortorella is going to make such a big difference because he's completely stresses defense.
And he's 24. I think Carter Hart is 24, 25.
He also likes to get a forechecking game going. They're not going to give up it. They'll give up 50 less goals at least this year. So
we got the Phillies.
Tom Marnone is saying now, boom.
Slide in the second. If you missed it, you're tuning in late. Out, boom, leave the game. Jammed up his hand, wrist, fingers, whatever he did.
Yeah, we don't have any information because the TVs don't have we don't have our volume on.
I don't think we're going to know anything. Maybe until the next couple of days. They're probably going to play it pretty close to the vest because he can't go to Toronto.
No.
I mean, I wish he was sitting on the bench healthy while he can't go to Toronto, but he's not. That's probably going to be a tie game right here. And look, here we go. Like we just talked about, center fielders who can't throw, Evan. Yep. Outfielders who can't throw. Like that should be a way closer play than that. Now the game's tied. I think that was Edmund that just knocked in somebody.
Yeah, but you know what? How many center fielders are gonna throw somebody out on a play like that?
I mean, Victorino
The problem with Odubel is it looks like he plays a very deep center field. Is that
that's Vierling tonight?
Vierling, yeah. Wow, that wasn't even close.
Oh, okay, because whoever was in center field was playing really deep. Check it out. Yeah. Check out where he was and where he's coming to. Okay?
But I can't get a throw online. I mean, that's fairly shallow center field.
Well, that's where he caught the ball. But I'm just saying he started deep. If he was playing a normal depth center field, he would have caught the ball. I mean, I don't know why he's playing so deep.
Yeah, that's an issue.
I don't know who this home plate umpire is tonight, but I think he's doing a pretty good job.
Not like the Yankee Red Sox umpire last night behind home plate?
Yeah, I saw some of that game. I mean, these umpires are horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
Aaron Boone coming at that had to be the funniest argument I've ever seen. Aaron Boone comes running out and says that was ball 6 because he called 3 straight strikes on Stanton. And I mean, these balls were nowhere near the strike zone. And even the announcers were just replayed the strikes. And they're like, and David Cohn. Now, David Cohn used to be an ex-Yankee, but he's also an ex-Red Sox too. So I think he was being fair. He said none of those pitches are anywhere near home plate. And you know, if they're going to call, I wish they would have called those when I was pitching.
But I mean, we had a debate on with Billy and John on the Ramp Booth, which is now on Wednesday now for the rest of the summer. Like, is it time for robot umpires and electronic strike zone? I think.
I hate to see that, but you know what? These umpires are getting worse and worse. I think the umpires really need to be behind the pitcher, to be quite honest with you. I just don't think that they're good behind home plate because they can't really see. They can't really see where the ball is landing because the catchers are pulling their mitts up. You know, the catchers are so.
No, you just need him behind the plate so he can call the play at home, right? Like, that makes sense. But like, he should have something, a buzzer, however you want to do it, in his pocket that just says if it's a ball or strike. Maybe if it's a strike, it buzzes, or obviously if the guy swings, it's a strike. But these umpires are horrendous. I mean, it's terrible.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, this guy last night made Angel Hernandez look like an all-star. That's how bad this guy was. And it takes a lot for anybody to say that. But this guy was – and he was bad on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when Chapman was out there, he was calling balls that looked like they were below the guy's ankle strikes.
Well, Cardinals about to take the lead. That's going to be a double off the fence. Cardinals up 2-1. Nola getting knocked around here in the 5th a little bit. I think that was Eduardo Sosa.
This is where he's got to shut it down.
But I mean, you're not going to win any game scoring 1 run. They were able to win 2 over the weekend, 1-0, which is surprising based on this pitching staff. But like, this is what Nola does. And first off, Nola, Wheeler, Schwarber, no All-Star game for any of them. I don't really understand how that happens. One of those pitchers should be an All-Star.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Schwarber, he's got 28 home runs. I know his average stinks, but it's kind of
big. He's got a lot of RBIs too, and RBIs are more important than batting average. So if you've got a lot of RBIs, he's got over 50 RBIs, right?
It's a home run every day. He's got to be up there. I wonder if he's going to be in the home run derby. Schwarber would be a lot of fun to watch in the home run derby.
It would be fun to watch him. I wish Aaron Judge would be, but he's not going to be, which I can understand.
Aaron Judge won it already, right?
Yeah, he won it in 2017.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the dunk contest. Unless you're Pete Alonso, who just wants to be in it every year, and he wins it every year.
Well, because he wins
Schwarber did make the All-Star game. I stand.
Schwarber made it.
Okay, I stand corrected.
I think he's the backup, maybe backup first baseman. No, not first baseman.
He's a backup.
He's a reserve. Okay.
Yeah, it's a reserve. Yeah.
And then that rule where every team has to have an all-star, that's outdated and stupid.
Yeah, that is stupid.
Sorry, there's no one on the Royals or the Tigers or Oakland that deserve to be an all-star.
It's for money, for views, for all that.
Yeah, so you appeal to all the markets. So I stand corrected.
Frankie Montas, I could see them putting him in the all-star game.
But is he an all-star?
I would have to look at his numbers pretty closely. Well, let's see. Let me check his numbers really quick here.
Because I know Acuna's going to be in the home run derby. Soto's in the home run derby. Alonso said he's playing in the home run derby. I don't know who else is in the home run derby, but that would be pretty cool to see Schwarber in the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
At Jordan Green, check us out on YouTube. Paul Blackburn is the A's All-Star. Like, give me a break.
All I gotta say is the DH really, I feel like, saved the Phillies season so far.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
DH spot, because with no DH spot, you have Bryson left and he can't throw. So
Right.
or,
So you saved the
Yeah.
first part of the season
Right.
by being able to put Bryce at DH, so you don't have to shut him down.
yeah,
And now you got, Derek Hall. I mean, he's a cute little story.
mm-hmm.
He's got some pop. I think he got robbed of an extra base hit tonight by that amazing play by Carlson a few innings ago.
Okay, you want to hear Frankie Montes' stats?
Yeah, he's really good.
He's 3-9, but I wouldn't go by his 1-loss record because
No, they stink.
flat out stinks. But in 96 innings, okay, he's got a 3.26 ERA. He's struck out 100. He's walked only 24. Okay, he's given up 81 hits. This guy is really.
How many innings did he pitch?
He's pitched 96 and 2/3. He's
So
given
more
up
than a
81
strikeout an
hits.
inning.
Yeah, he's over a strikeout an inning. He's walked 24. He struck out 100. Okay, let's see. Let me see what else I can find on him. His WHIP is 1.086.
I mean, that means he's not walking anybody, which you just said he only has 24 walks to 100
Correct.
strikeouts.
Correct.
I mean, his stats aren't better than Blackburn's. I mean, Blackburn's okay. I hate that. I hate that rule. I hate
what
that
was his rule. Well, yeah, but you're only gonna put the best pitcher on the team. Frankie Montes is a better pitcher than Blackburn. I'm sorry, he is, and he's got playoff experience. That guy is a step. Can you imagine that guy on your team as your third pitcher? He might be your second pitcher. Let's be honest.
His stats are right there with Nola.
Yeah.
Now it's 3-1 Cardinals. Nola getting knocked around here in the fifth.
Who would have seen this coming, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's been good. I mean, Nola's gotten robbed of a lot of of wins.
A lot.
He's 5 and 6.
Because they have no run support. They have no run support, and it's bad because Nola will have games where he's amazing, and the Phillies' offense is just atrocious. Then there'll be games like we'll still get a win because he gave up 3 runs because we'll have like 6. And the bats just aren't. You need to score more than 1 run. Like we can't. It can't be like the beginning of the season where we score 1 run a game or 2
You're
runs.
not going to win. You're not going to win scoring 1 run. So the Phillies got to get the bats going here. Another baseball thing I wanted to touch on, kind of on a national standpoint, is Saturday night the Mets retired Keith Hernandez's number. Is this appropriate? Because I think, especially with the Phillies, who have just been a bad franchise, like you have guys like Mike Lieberthal who have their number retired by the Phillies. Like, does something have to be done where there has to be like some type of system put in place so that these Wall of Fames?
Do you think that Hernandez shouldn't have his number retired?
I think he should.
By the Mets, I mean they won the World Series.
Yeah, he's on the 86 team.
He was on the 86 team, and he was a tremendous player there. He's also been a broadcaster there for like 20 years too.
Yeah, and I looked up his numbers: 297 career average,
he was
11 Gold Gloves. He won the MVP in '79.
He's one of the best defensive first basemen of all time. He was a terrific hit. He didn't have a lot of power. I mean, 15 to 17 home runs a season, but I mean, he got a ton of RBIs, and he was a professional player. He was tremendous for the Mets. They never would have won a championship without him. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that.
But like Brad, do the Yankees put someone in Monument Park every year, like some of these teams do?
They could.
I mean, that's not the best example because the Yankees.
That's a bad.
The Yankees have 27 World Championships, whereas the Phillies have been in existence for 148 years and have only 14 playoff appearances. So the Yankees have double World Series championships, and the Phillies have playoff appearances. That's why the Phillies Hall of Fame is littered.
Diluted a little bit. Yeah, I mean, listen, you're asking me if Jorge Posada should have had his number retired. Okay, I would say no. Okay,
Right, so you have standards.
yeah.
That's my point.
I have standards. Jorge Posada, he was a tremendous player for the Yankees, but to get his number retired, no, not when I'm looking out there, and most of the guys that have retired numbers are in the Hall of Fame.
But isn't the Wall of Fame supposed to be like for guys who were really good? Like for me, the jersey retirement by a specific team, that's for the Hall of very good players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen, it all depends on the player and the team. I mean, the Yankees retired Paul O'Neill's number. Now, Paul O'Neill, I would retire his number based on what he did when he was with the team, between '96 and 2000. I mean, he was tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he was definitely one of the leaders of that team.
Is
I mean,
Paul O'Neill better than Jorge Posada?
Oh, 100 times better.
100 times better.
Listen, Paul O'Neill was a really good outfielder, and he also won a batting championship. I think it's a lifetime with the Yankees. He was an over 300 hitter, and he used to steal a lot of bases too. I think his last season he stole 20 bases one season. Jorge was a very good hitter for a catcher, and as I said, for a catcher. Okay, if he was playing any other position, he'd be okay. As a catcher, though, his numbers were tremendous as a catcher. But he also played in the same town as Mike Piazza, so he was overlooked. He's the whole of very good. But I wouldn't have retired his number. I mean, I know he's a 4-4 player, but he's not as good as Bertie Williams. He's not as good as Derek Jeter. He's not as good as Mariano Rivera. Okay, and I you retire Paul O'Neill's number. Okay, that's fine, but I think that's where it's got to stop at that point.
Did you see that the 30 for 30? They're doing a 7-part Derek Jeter documentary.
Yes, and I heard they had a big sign right outside Fenway Park. Is that hilarious?
I'm sure you love that, but that should be really interesting. Derek Jeter.
Yeah, they have a big sign right outside Fenway Park. ESPN does advertising it.
I'm sure they love that up there.
Oh man! I mean, if I was a Red Sox fan,
they're probably livid.
Let's put it this way: if they had a thing for David Ortiz right outside Yankee Stadium, I think I might get sick to my stomach. So I really understand the Reds.
Now, Manny Ramirez, he had some interesting Derek Jeter comments. He was on some podcast, I guess, and he said that, Derek Jeter, a little bit I'm paraphrasing here. I don't have the direct quote in front of me, but
yeah, he was overrated.
He said he was overrated, and he's only as heralded as he is because he was a Yankee, and I couldn't disagree with that more.
Well, here's my question to Manny, okay? First of all, he had 3,410 hits. No, sorry, 3,470 hits. Okay.
That's a lot of hits.
That's a lot of hits, Manny. How many hits did you have? And Derek, to our knowledge, never got caught with roids like you did. Okay. Derek also won 5 championships. How many did you win? And you know what? And the Red Sox just got tired of your act because you were such a nutcase. They traded you because you decided one day it would be hilarious to pee on the Green Monster. I mean, so listen, I don't take anything he says seriously.
Well, and I think the championships with Derek Jeter, like you can make an argument with that. Like if he was on the Kansas City Royals or the Cleveland Indians or something like that, he probably wouldn't have 5 rings. I get that, but
okay, that I agree. But you know what? He was still as Reggie Jackson used to say, he was the straw that stirred the drink.
Absolutely, excellent intent. I'm a big Derek Jeter guy. He can be my shortstop any day of the week and twice on Sunday, but he's getting 3,000 hits no matter where he gets drafted.
Right.
Yeah. He's still going to be a leader.
He had a lifetime 310 batting average. How many shortstops hit 310 lifetime?
No, and you remember when you guys got A-Rod?
Yeah. A-Rod.
It was a big controversy, and I think if you don't have Derek Jeter in that clubhouse, like that could have gotten a little ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Jeter put out a lot of fires. Let's put it this way: he was a cat. He was a great captain. He kept everybody. There were a lot of personalities on that team, and he kept everybody under control.
So that 7-part documentary
Yeah,
should
wait
be
to
really
see it.
interesting. It should be
Yeah, wait
really
to
interesting.
see
I
it.
can't wait to watch it because, I think the commercial said he hid in plain sight in New York.
Yeah, pretty much.
He was a socialite. He dated. He was never in tabloids. He never got in trouble.
Nope.
I think he's married now, but he never really.
He's married. Yeah, he didn't get married until after he quit playing, which is fine. He wanted to mess around. He didn't want to get married. That's his choice. That's his prerogative. He didn't commit any crimes. He may have hurt a few. He may have hurt a few girls' feelings. I mean,
broke a few Phillies' hearts. Yeah.
Yeah, he may have done that, but I mean, he's Derek Jeter. That's what. It's not like he got married and A-Rod's different. A-Rod kept getting married and then screwing around on everyone that he met. I mean, he still does it now. With Jennifer Lopez, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer Lopez, she gets passed around Hollywood left and right.
Yeah, but you know what? But she seemed perfect for him. Plus, she had the money to tell him to buzz off. Maybe that was the thing.
I think, yeah.
All right, let's move on to the NBA. Don't forget Tom Arnone, Ryan Brodo, running back Philly. They're coming up. I'm sure they have a lot of Sixers, Phillies on tap for you guys. There's Vierling with a base hit, top of the 6th. Phillies got to get cooking here. Really need to win this game for the Phillies. But let's move on to the NBA. Sixers doing well. Evan, because we talked about this last time we were on for the holiday and our little shift here. We talked about the Sixers offseason with Milton at the draft, and now you get PJ Tucker. James Harden's taking a pay cut.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited? Are you indifferent? Do you think they got worse?
I'm really indifferent. I don't know. PJ Tucker, to me, he is that guy that scored 0 points the 3 games we played against him in the playoffs. So that wasn't that great of a showing. But he does his. I think we signed him for his mentality, because he's not a guy that's going to go and give you we didn't sign him for that much. He's getting paid what 11, 12 million a year for the next 3 years.
3 years, $33 million. That's not nothing for a 38-year-old, 37-year-old guy.
Yeah. As long as it wasn't another Al Horford ridiculous contract, I think it's way better.
I mean, that is a ridiculous contract. But
yeah.
James Harden, to my surprise, he takes significantly less money on a 2-year deal.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of bets on himself with the player option for the 2nd year. So basically what James Harden's going to do is he's going to try and play well this year, opt out, and then say, no. I did the team-friendly thing. I saved you guys some money this year. Now I want my max. Now I want my $38 million a year. So I think that's how it's going to play it. But because James Harden takes less,
good for James Harden for doing that, though. I mean, he left money out on the table so you could get better.
Right, so that makes it okay that you're paying PJ Tucker too much money.
This is more just James and Daryl, I think. I feel like
they're boys.
Daryl definitely said something, had to say something we're not going to give you $50 million almost for this one season for you to pull what you pulled last season. So take a pay cut, opt out, pretty much, he said. And he said, all right, I'll take the pay cut, but then if I prove myself, you have to give me that money. And honestly, I'm not.
That's extremely possible.
I'm not wanting to give him that big contract.
No, he's going to be here. No, that would have been. And what I feared was going to happen with James is he was going to opt in for his $47 million, and they were just going to max him out. So that goes on top of the $47 million, which would have been a complete disaster because I'm nervous about him at 33. I'm definitely going to be nervous about him at 38. Ramban, checking us out on YouTube. There used to be called a Flight Zone show with Jimmy and Evan. So Sports Hounds and Flight Zone are now one entity, and we're going to be kicking it every Monday at 7:30. And then Tom Arnone and Ryan Brodo come on right after us with Run It Back Philly, talking really all things Philly sports, all things sports. So keep it locked in here on A2D Radio. So do you think Daryl Morey's done?
I do think so, honestly. Unless something happens drastically with like KD or Kyrie or something, like I can't really see us doing anything else. Because honestly, like our biggest need is probably a three out of any position because you really got those two.
Meaning a small forward.
Yeah. A power forward, small forward, really interchangeable. You could throw Tobias at the three. But damn, I really don't know how because there's really no small forwards in the market that can make that big impact right away.
Look, Tobias Harris, I get it. He makes $180 million. He's maxed out, and he's not a $180 million player. But he's also not a bad player.
Mhm.
So I think just recklessly dumping him to get rid of his contract could potentially cost you wins.
Yeah.
So
the other problem with him, as you said, he's not a bad player, but to just dump him, they're still going to have to take money back.
Yeah.
Correct.
So they're gonna get scrubs either
So
way.
who are they going to? Yeah, what are you're going to trade him for a bunch of garbage?
So they're going to get a couple of mid-level guys that equal the Tobias Harris max contract that stink. And that's not doing anything.
That's just silly to do that.
So now you look at it now, you have Harden, Maxey, I guess Thibault, and then I'm starting Tobias at the 4 and Joe at the 5 and go small. And you have Melton, Yang, PJ Tucker, and that whole crew.
But that's light years. But that's light years ahead of what they had before.
Bob Brinkman, how about Harris for Mikal Bridges on the Suns? Does that make you better? I don't know. That seems lateral to me. And I love Mikal Bridges. First off, Mikal Bridges should be here already because you drafted him on draft night and you traded him. Brett Brown had a crush on Zaire Smith out of Texas Tech for whatever reason. And he figured out at 22 years old that he's allergic to peanuts, and I haven't heard from him since.
No. I didn't think he's
does that make you better, Harris from Mikal Bridges? Love Mikal Bridges. He makes threes. He plays defense. He's a good player. Does that make you better? I don't know because, you still got to go small.
Harris was playing great defense in the playoffs. Mind you that, too. So
he's willing.
Yeah.
Don 19, the question is, did Philly get better than the Celtics, Heat, or Bucks? My answer is no. I think the only reason Milwaukee wasn't in the finals is because Chris Middleton got hurt. Yeah. Boston's still loaded. The Heat, you just lost to the Heat. So,
but they lost. Losing PJ Tucker for them isn't that big of a deal. If they can get a deal done, getting Robinson, trading away Robinson, they would probably jump on that because he didn't play. I'm pretty sure he played garbage time minutes. He's getting paid, 55 million for 80 million or something like that for 3 years, something huge.
So would you rather be saddled with that Duncan Robinson contract or the Tobias Harris contract?
Yeah,
I'd rather have the Tobias contract. I think he's a better player than Duncan Robinson.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the whole wild card in the whole Eastern Conference is the circus that is the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know what's going to happen there. You have Kyrie Irving opted in. He's a knucklehead. I don't know what's going to happen with him. And you have Durant, who wants out.
Yeah.
Durant is such a chotch.
Yeah. I think they both stay.
He's a tremendous basketball player.
You mean LeBron Jr.?
But KD doesn't win.
Wow, that's not true. He's won 3. He's won two championships. 3.
Yeah, he won 2 with the Warriors.
Okay,
he just went with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green in their prime, and it wasn't even fair.
No, and he might do that again. By the way,
that's what makes the most sense, right?
I think
that's the Warriors.
I think that's where he's going again.
And then Jordan, I don't want to say I'm totally against it because it is Kevin fucking Durant, but Tobias Harris, Thibault, and Maxey for Durant.
No,
I don't know. That's a lot. No. That's a lot going to Brooklyn, and then I hate trading. within your division to a rival. And
Yeah.
I understand you had to do the thing with Ben because Ben is a crumb. So I get that. You just had to get someone that was willing to take Ben and do the deal.
Yeah.
So I can't be against that. But how about the Nets didn't even retain Andre Drummond? Andre Drummond goes to the Bulls for 2 years, $6.5 million. Like, why didn't we do that instead of bringing in PJ Tucker? Drummond gives you more than PJ Tucker.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. And honestly, with that deal, a lot of Sixers fans wanted to make that deal on Durant, but I'm saying that a Harden, Durant, and Embiid trio that's not a given championship.
And
honestly.
then you have didn't we just learn that? Didn't we not go to the Eastern Conference Finals last year because we traded Drummond and Seth along with Ben for Harden?
Mm-hmm.
And who else? Didn't we get someone else back? Oh, we got what's his face? The washed up big guy that used to be on YouTube.
Paul Millsap.
Paul Millsap, thank you. And he didn't do anything.
No. And you're getting and if you don't win a championship in that Durant era in Philly,
Well, here's the only reason to do the trade. Here's the only reason that I can justify doing that trade, because then you have Harden, Durant, and Embiid, and they're all going to be old and washed in 3 years at the same time. And then you're back to, winning 10 games a year.
Yeah, I could see that.
But you know what? So you got to try to win now.
So I mean, that's the argument to make the trade.
Do you think Maxey can be a part of that win now?
Absolutely, he can.
But you'd have to throw him in for a guy like Durant. So
but Tobias has to be in the trade because you got to match the money. And
but the Nets are going to buy a really good player. They're not going to just give him away. This isn't the.
No, I mean, Marks is. There's not enough money in the world that would want me to be the Brooklyn Nets GM. What a circus! What a train wreck! You have Ben, who no one knows if he's going to play. He's out fishing. He's getting back surgery. He's at the summer league game, sitting on the side. Like, why are you at a summer league game, dude? Like, what are you doing? Like, go to the gym and work out. Like, I don't know, work on your shot. I don't know what he's doing. And then, they lost Drummond. They still have Seth.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know, like, what's going to happen. Like,
well, they re-signed Patty Mills, but
Durant is putting them in a hard spot because Kyrie, he's going to be on the Lakers, right? He's going to get traded for Westbrook and picks at some point.
If that happens,
nobody
then
wants
Durant
Kyrie.
is traded. Durant is going to be traded if that happens, I think. Because you can't have.
I don't understand.
The Nets don't have to trade. They don't have to trade Durant.
Well, I don't think Kevin Durant is going to pull a Ben Simmons and sit.
No,
I don't think if he doesn't get his way and get traded.
No, he won't.
I just think all those personalities on one team, Ben, Westbrook. I like Westbrook though. Westbrook and KD. I don't think those three would just mesh, because if you have Westbrook and Simmons out there, I would just be fouling them all game.
Talk about no offense in your backcourt. I couldn't think of a more unsuccessful guard combination than Ben Simmons and Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook's going to be their shooting guard. Let's just put it at that.
But Russell Westbrook bitches and moans when he's not the primary ball handler. And Ben Simmons bitches and moans when he's not the primary ball handler.
Exactly.
The only thing Ben can do, Ben can defend any position on the floor.
Yep.
And for what it's worth, at least he used to when he played basketball, he does put his teammates in positions to succeed, which Russell Westbrook only cares about getting a triple-double, and he's a me guy. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, where is Durant going to go?
I really don't know. Someone's saying Utah, no.
Golden State.
I feel like the Golden State and Washington. Washington, for the only reason being he's from there, like you said. Right? We mentioned that. And him with Beal, maybe that would work. But the Washington would have nobody else.
Something's going to have to go to Brooklyn.
It would have to be like a 4-team trade or something.
Like Porzingis has to be in that deal if you're bringing in Durant, right? You got to match the money.
Well, they're the same. They're also the same kind of player.
Mm.
Yeah, but Durant is just a way better version of Kristaps Porzingis.
I didn't say Porzingis was better than Durant. I'm just saying we're the same type of player, though. They need to have the ball all the time.
Don 19. He really likes the Hawks next year. I'm with you, Don. I really like the Hawks too.
Yeah, their guard that guard situation.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's a guard league.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time. It's a guard league. I don't know why DeJounte Murray just got dumped like he did for 3 first-round picks and Danilo Gallinari. I mean, he's on Boston now. They waived him. He cleared waivers. He signs with Boston. So the rich get richer there. So I don't understand. But you give me Trae Young and DeJounte Murray in a backcourt, and they have Collins. They have Clint Capella. Like, there's some guys there. They're going to be a problem. I think the Sixers are better just because they have a little bit more star power. Look, the Sixers have a quartet that's pretty good. Tobias, Maxey, Harden, and Joe.
It's very good.
But we had a question earlier.
I have a proposition. All right. So say we just look absolutely terrible this season. We somehow lose in the first round.
Right.
Or just like get swept in the second round. So Harden, he opts out for his contract that next year. Are you trading Joel Embiid?
I mean, I don't want to trade Joel ever.
I don't at all. But
no,
it wouldn't be as crazy as we would be talking to.
No, because if you don't get there next year, you're back in purgatory mode.
Yeah.
And that's why you started this ridiculous process in the first place. And I've been on record, even though I don't want to see Joel traded because, not only is he really good on the court, he's a top 5 player, but, he also puts asses in the seats. He's a big box office draw. Everybody loves him. He's good in the locker. He doesn't cause problems off the court in the locker room. But, I mean,
his time's coming. We know that, though. His time.
Big guys have,
like, 3 year.
I don't think you can win a championship in the NBA in 2022 with a center as your primary scorer. Yep. You need a guy on the perimeter that can go get buckets in crunch time.
Look at the Nuggets. Same thing with them.
Look at the Nuggets.
They're not getting anything.
Well, even though they did have teams that were in the finals, the Celtics, they have guards that just go.
Yeah.
It's like hockey lines.
Yep.
And they brought in – didn't they bring in a guard too? Another guard? They brought in Gallinari. I think they brought in someone else too.
Who, the Celtics?
Yeah. Not a big name, just like a
Oh. The hell was it? I know they traded for the guy from the Pacers.
Brogdon. Yes, Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah.
I mean, there's another guard that can go and defend.
Yep.
So they didn't get worse. So the Sixers aren't as good as the Celtics as I see it right now.
Yeah, no.
And I don't think trading Matisse, Maxey, and Tobias for Durant gets you over the Celtics or the Bucks.
No, yeah.
The Nets are the wild card because I don't think this. If you get Ben, Kyrie, and Durant on the same page, like they're going to win more games than the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at Portland for Durant. I'm looking at Golden State for Durant. And then the Heat always seem to be in the mix.
What about the Knicks?
The Knicks are spending money. They bring in Brunson, who like worst kept secret in the whole NBA. $25 million a year for Jalen Brunson. I mean, good luck with that.
I think that was a very good deal for the Knicks. They overpaid for him.
Too much money.
Yeah, but Rob,
hopefully he's not like Kemba.
They had to go out and get a good point guard. They haven't had a good point guard in God knows how long. This guy looks like the real deal. He's 24 years old. He's going to get better. He was terrific in the playoffs last year. I mean, what more do you want out of a guy? I mean, they have him. You look at their team now. I think they're pretty good now. You look at their starting 5. I mean, you have him. Then you have Fournier as your 2. R.J. Barrett as your number 3.
Barrett's a stud.
Yeah, I think that I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yep.
Mitch Robinson is your center, and Mitch Robinson.
He just got 6. They just gave him $60 million.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, well, they he was their starting center. They kept him. Julius Randle is your number 4. I mean, I think they got some talent on their team.
What's good?
Those
Like,
stars are pretty good.
what's the expectation in Nick Land?
Make the playoffs, probably.
We should make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
are they a top 6 team in the East? Are they out of the play-in tournament? I don't really see
I think
that.
they have a shot. I think they
Do you
have a
think they're
shot.
better than Cleveland? I don't think they're better than Cleveland still. I think Cleveland's just more a complete
It
team.
depends because you
Harris,
got to think
Bowen.
Sexton's
But
going to
we also have Quickly coming off the bench, who can score.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, Jericho Sims seems like a pretty good backup center. So they're pretty solid at center. I mean, they've got guys. They brought in guys who can score.
Mhm.
There's no question about that. You know, if Durant wants to come to a young team that's got a lot of decent players around him and lead a
like,
good.
what would that trade? You would have to send Randall to Brooklyn,
Yeah.
right?
Randall would have to. They probably want Barrett, and that would be the problem.
Or
Well,
Quickly.
Sean Marks wants
there.
everything. I mean, the Minnesota Wolves, who also had a great offseason, they bring in Kyle Anderson, who I wanted the Sixers to look at, didn't work out, and they bring in Rudy Gobert to pair with Towns underneath. They give up a bunch of picks for that, but Marks wanted Anthony Edwards, who's an absolute beast, Karl Anthony Towns, and 4 first-round picks for Kevin Durant.
Hell no.
Like,
I wasn't giving up Anthony Edwards for Anthony Edwards and 2 for. I was keeping him. I wasn't really trading that for Durant.
But like, did Morey set the precedent where you just can hold these guys when they request trades and it works out? Because I've always been in the camp that when a guy of that caliber requests a trade, the longer you wait, the less you're going to get. Ben's kind of the exception to that rule because Ben didn't want to play. I don't know. Is Durant going to sit if they don't trade him? Is he going to do that?
I don't know.
I don't think.
I know that the Knicks have a lot of guys they could trade for him. They got a lot of young. They got a lot of young players, and they've got a lot of. They have a lot of. They have a lot of first-round picks. They've got 11 first-round picks in the next 7 years.
I just
they didn't make any. The
intriguing
Knicks
for
didn't
them.
make any picks this past
Yeah.
draft.
They did.
No, because they cleared out. They went and cleared out money so that they could get Randall. Excuse me, so that they could get Brunson, which I don't think that's a bad move at all.
No.
Habib
It solidifies
215.
their franchise point guard pretty much.
You take a look at the Knicks bench, okay? You got Tobin, who's a pretty good player. Emmanuel Quickly, pretty good player. Derrick Rose, that's a pretty good player. So you've got 8 guys who can score.
Mhm.
And
You guys are just like the Utah Jazz, but a little worse.
Well,
Like the 2.
you don't know that, though, because a lot of these guys are really young players.
Yeah, Quickly's good.
I mean, that could be interesting. Like, what if the Nets traded Kyrie for Donovan Mitchell? And then you have Donovan Mitchell and Durant in Brooklyn with Ben.
The only thing is, why would Utah want issues with Kyrie?
Because Utah's kind of waving the white flag they're constructed.
But it would probably be like a 3-team trade where they get a bunch of first-round picks, and he probably goes to like.
And
which is why you could put the Knicks in that mode too, because the Knicks have all those first-round picks.
It should be interesting. Habib 215, he wants to know how much Maxey would get if he were a free agent. I mean, he's going to sign a $100 million contract one day in this league.
Yeah, he will. The Sixers will give him that money if he's not traded.
And they're set up to do so because once Harris and Harden are off the books with all their money, that clears the way for you to give Maxey all the money that this is assuming he doesn't get hurt or he doesn't fall off a cliff or anything like that. But if he continues on the trajectory that he is right now, 1% better every day, that's what Jalen Hurts says about himself. But I actually believe it in terms of Tyrese Maxey.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be $100 million player. And I the whole draft process with Tyrese Maxey. I couldn't believe the Sixers got him at the 21st pick in the draft. It's crazy. Thank you, COVID.
COVID really did save him.
Denver not being NCAA tournament that year. not going well for the Phillies down in St. Louis. Another double. Or Pujols winding
He's
back
ripping
the
him.
flux.
He's ripping him. What do you have? The home run? Yeah, he was like, I think he was 2 for 4 yesterday.
He just hit a double to right field, going the other way.
Jimmy Rodweller, he agrees to the poll. Phillies need another starter. Get me Greinke. And Maxey is the future of the Sixers. He should be untouchable.
Greinke's
a weirdo. Greinke's such a weirdo.
And Jimmy, he'll be back. He'll be with us next week.
Greinke is no good anymore.
No, I'm totally out on
over. He's not just over the hill. He's past being over the hill and he's down in the valley now. He's milking the cows in the valley. He's so far over the hill. Talk about a guy who should have retired already.
So yeah, I mean that doesn't Zach Greinke acquisition doesn't move the needle for me at all. I mean, I think Ranger Suarez, Zach Eflin, and Kyle Gibson are better than Zach Greinke at this point.
Agreed.
Like I'd much rather grab Montez or Blackburn from Oakland than a Madison Bumgarner or a Zach Greinke, two guys that are over the hill on really bad baseball teams right now.
Listen, either one of them is capable at any time of reverting to old form for maybe a game or two. But anything more than that, forget it.
Maybe it would be cool if it was 2015, Jim, but
yeah. Not now.
Yeah, that would be a little bit.
Don 19 are the Warriors going back to back. I mean, they are if they get there's a home run, 5-1 now. So this is getting away. This is getting away from the Phillies here in the finale with the Cardinals.
They're going to probably be tied for the final wild card spot. But you know what? They just got through a pretty tough road trip.
Mm-hmm.
4 in St. Louis. It's not easy.
No, you get two. So you can't.
Yeah, you split the series. You can't complain about splitting the series.
So with a loss tonight, what are we? Are we one game ahead of St. Louis?
You'd be tied with the Cardinals.
You'd be tied, and you'd be a game ahead of the loss column.
That's all that's there, though, Evan. Like, because the Dodgers, it's going to be Dodgers, Padres. One of them's going to get a wild card, and the Mets or the Braves are going to get a wild card. So there's really only one spot in the National League.
If we tie and it's the end of the season with them, is it whoever's division has a better record?
I guess there'd be a one-game playoff.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they play. They don't have those stupid football tiebreakers in baseball.
Yeah,
So
they play.
Yeah, that's even more of a reason to get a starter in here.
Yeah.
Because then you're gonna have to pitch Wheeler or Nola in the playoff. And then you're going to have to play 3 on the road, and you won't be able to use Wheeler until until Game 3.
The problem is when you make the playoffs as a wild card, you're going to have to pitch your first 3 guys, okay? And then if you get to the next round, then you're stuck pitching your 4th and 5th pitchers, Game 1 and 2 on the road.
But at least if you get to the division series, you got a 7-game series, and you got some of your games at home.
No, I understand that. Listen, of course you want to get to that level. I mean, it's very important though that you try to at least win the first 2. Win 2 straight. That's critical to me. Mm-hmm. You got to win 2 straight because that way at least you get a day off. So then you can use your ace Game 3. I mean, if you have to wait till Game 4 to use your ace, that's tough. I mean, I know Game 4 is probably the most important game of every series.
It just might be too late, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, but honestly, though, let's be honest, though. Game 4 is the most important game of any series. Mm-hmm. Game 4 is the trendsetter, okay? Because it's either 2-1 or 3-0. If it's 2-1 and you win Game 4, it's 3-1. 80% of the time, the series is over if it's 3-1. You win Game 4, you make it 2-2. Then anything can happen. Then it's
just like a hockey shootout, basically. It's really you got to play it smart. And damn, I'm not really confident in Gibson that much, or Eflin, or Suarez, or maybe even Nola after tonight. So there's really one.
Well, Nola's having a rough outing, but look, that if if this is the playoffs and Nola started getting whacked around in the fifth inning, Thompson would have had him out as soon as he would have had a short leash. So, everybody has a short leash in the playoffs. Playoff managing is totally different than regular season. Regular season, you're trying to get your starter. You're trying to get every possible out of your starter. I mean, you go hook by crook to try to get every ounce from your starter. Okay, that's during the regular season because you want to rest your bullpen as much as you can. Once the playoffs start, it's mano y mano. It's it's Johnny Holstaff against Johnny Holstaff every game. I mean, nobody cares. Nobody cares once you get into playoffs. When a starting pitcher gets in trouble, okay, unless they're Cole or Scherzer, or a pitcher like that, they're Wheeler. I put him in that class too. Once you get to that point, they get in trouble and they give up a couple of runs, they're gone. They're not staying in the game.
Nick Castellaно's been hot garbage. That's from Jimmy. He hasn't been good. He's swinging a little better, it looks like. And JT has 2 hits tonight.
Second half of the season, I think he'll be a lot better.
He's got to get his numbers, right?
Yeah.
You would think so. The back of his baseball card says it.
Yeah.
So he's going to be a professional 300 hitter for 8-9 years and then come here while he's still in, relatively speaking, the prime of his career and just totally stink?
In a hitter's ballpark, no less.
And I know he's in Cincinnati last year, and that's probably even more of an offensive park than Citizens Bank. But, he's not getting on base. His average isn't there. His power's not there. He's not doing anything. Those are good names. That's another good name, Mr. Randy Poo, throwing out Noah Syndergaard as a possible rotation option for the Phillies.
Yes.
I would like that a lot because the Angels can't seem to figure it out there with Trout and Ohtani on their team. Paying Rendon a bunch of money to stink and be hurt. So you got to think they're going to sell. What else did I miss here? Mr. Randy, teams just pitch out and away from Castellanos. He just swings at everything. Learn how to start taking pitches. He's been a professional hitter his whole career. I don't get it. And JT, he's got to get his numbers too, right? He's got to get hot here at some point. I think he's 2 for 3 tonight, and he's been playing better since Bryce went out. But I think he's got 4 home runs, and he's your cleanup hitter. That's not good. And now you got an even bigger hole potentially in your lineup with Bohm potentially missing some time. So Dombrowski's going to be busy. He's going to be busy, and he should be busy because, you spend all that money, you go over the luxury tax. You can't not make the playoffs with a $200 million payroll.
Yep.
Because then that sends the message to your owner, who's already been tight with the pocketbook, Mr. Stupid Money. You had to pull teeth to get him to go over the luxury tax, and now he's just going to look at it like, what do you mean? You bitched and moaned about me going over the luxury tax, and we're still not winning. So why would I go over the luxury tax? And then he'll point to teams like Tampa Bay and Oakland, teams that spend no money and still are successful. I mean, they stink this year, but their track record of not spending money and having successful baseball season is
that's true.
Is long. Ben Simmons did a number on Nick Castellanos. He needs to move. Yeah, Nick Castellanos, for those who don't know, he bought Ben Simmons' house in, I guess, South Jersey, and he hasn't done a hit since.
Is that the reason he's not hitting well? Are they trying to blame him for that?
I mean, that's the conspiracy theory going around Philadelphia, yes.
Don 19, can't believe that Shane Wright fell to number 4 in the draft. That's the NHL draft.
I mean, you can take that. I mean, these baseball drafts and hockey drafts where you got to sit on guys for a couple of years in the minors. Some of these guys go back to college in hockey, I think.
Shane Wright is a different story. Shane Wright was supposed to be the first pick. And
why did three teams pass on him then?
Well, because he's got Tony D'Angelo syndrome.
Oh, he's a jerk off?
That's what I've been hearing. So,
But like, you can be a jerk off. I don't care.
yeah.
And look, if you don't like the Tony D'Angelo signing because of his tweets or his antics off the field, I can't really say it. That's your choice.
Forget the politics, okay? He's a hockey player. Don't worry about what he says on and off the field.
I want him to be engaged for 60 minutes on game night.
He usually is.
And
That I can tell you. Sometimes he's over engaged. Okay, I can never say anything bad about him as far as his effort on the ice.
And I guess Shane Wright, I mean, teams had enough. I mean, not one team, not two teams, but three teams passed on Shane Wright.
Listen, the fact that Montreal passed on him, that says a lot.
Yep.
Okay, that really says a lot.
Do you have anything? I mean, what's his name?
Passed on him?
Sorry?
The Devils passed on him too, and you're thinking, oh my God, because when Montreal passed on him, saying, oh my God, Shane Wright and Jack Hughes on the same team, oh, man, and then they didn't draft him either. Yeah,
Brad, can you tell us anything about who the Flyers picked fifth? What's his name? Carter.
I can't remember his name now. He's a goal scorer. He's a sniper. So hopefully,
Love it.
Huh?
Love it.
Yeah, he's a sniper. So hopefully, he will bring his talents. He'll probably start in the minors, which I think that would be a really good idea if the Flyers let him play in the AHL for a little bit, let him get his feet wet, and if he can earn a spot, or when they're starting to fall out of it, which you would expect, or if they get a batch of injuries, then you can call him up. But I would start him in the minors. I wouldn't force it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Not until they completely commit to a rebuild would I do that.
Cutter Gauthier, he's a sniper. He's a goal scorer, left wing center from the U.S. of A.
Yes.
Like I said, like, what am I supposed to – I don't – like, unless you're getting McDavid, who, like, any idiot watched a second of hockey and knew that he was going to be a stud. It's all guesswork.
This year, there's no McDavid. There is the next one next year, okay, and that's Bedard. Okay, but not only do you have to stink to get him, but you have to also stink and win a lottery. And there's no guarantee you're going to win the lottery.
And I'm anti-tanking. You need to try and win as many games as you can. And if it works out where you get the pick and you get the guy, cool. If not, pick someone else.
Listen,
don't
Rangers
pick Nolan Patrick over Coleman.
The Rangers never tanked, and they still got Lafreniere, and they still got Kakko. Now, whether or not these guys turn into great players or not, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Sure looks like Lafreniere might.
I mean, he got, 25 goals last year?
19, but that's still pretty good for a 20-year-old.
And you almost went to the Eastern Conference Finals. You were right there with Tampa.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of ran out of steam.
Yep. The Rangers' problem in the playoffs last year was that they had to go 7 in their first 2 series, and they ran out of gas in the third round. I mean, that's the one thing. If you want to have playoff success, and you want to go somewhere, and you want to try to win a championship, you got to get rid of. You can't be going 7 games in the first round and 7 games in the second round. But I mean, I'm very happy that they won those 2 series because you know what? Now it gives them some confidence. It gives them a point where they can say, okay, this is how far we got. We now know what we need to try to win the Stanley Cup. So now they're going to try to, fill holes instead of rebuild. But that's,
we're going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up here on the Sports Hounds. Great episode. Brad Ryer, Evan Taylor, Frank Vesby produced. Thank you to everyone who liked, commented, and shared our show. Thank you to our great sponsors at RA Public Health, specialized physical therapy, and all campus down on the Ocean City Boardwalk. Don't forget to become an A2D member for $9.99 a month. Get the gambling picks, get giveaways, get 20% off in all campus. Next Monday, Jimmy will be back. Evan will be back. Me and Brad will be here, so we'll have a full panel. And we'll continue to have some fun talking sports with you guys. Stay tuned for Tom Arnone, Ryan Brodo, and Run It Back Philly coming up in about 15 minutes here on A2D Radio. So until next Monday, Peace out, everybody.